Today we're doing a EGR delete on a 6.7 Power Stroke. And first thing you're gonna do, you don't necessarily have to do this, I did, but you take the front grille off, and there are four 10mm bolts across the top here, and then there are five clips across the bottom here. And to get those out, you just stick a flat blade screwdriver in the hole and wedge on it like that, and come right out. Once that's done, that just makes it easier to get at the coolant drain valves on here. I don't know if you can see them down through here, but there's a valve on each side, one for the hot side, one for the cold side. Hot and cold being, hot side would be like the EGR because you have exhaust running through it, so it gets a lot hotter. The cold side would be like engine vitals and stuff like that. So I put a 5/16 hose on the fitting there, drain it down into a 5-gallon bucket. I think it's 3 gallons on one side and 2 on the other, or something like that. And the way you get these valves out, I wish I could get a good shot of it. Let's see if I can get the light down from the bottom or something. Yeah, it's not much better, but you can kind of see it there. You twist it 90 degrees and then cam out as you twist it some more. So once you turn it the first 90 degrees, you're gonna kind of pull out on it as you keep turning. They're an absolute pain in the butt. I hate that style, but they will come out. Just be careful, don't pull on too hard, you'll end up breaking them or something. So drain the coolant out both sides, and then next step, you're going to take the air box off. There's 2 hose clamps on it, and then this connector right here, you pull that red tab out and then pinch it and it'll slide right off. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll get back to you when that's done. Also unclip all the coolant lines of the fittings there, and I'll get back to you when that's done. The intake pulled off and that coolant hose there, I forgot to mention there's one 8mm bolt right there for the intake air box. So take that out. Next thing you're going to do with your EGR kit, there's a little barb. I don't have it up here yet, but there's a little barb in there, a little bronze thing. And what you're going to do is cut this hose and hook them together with that barb. You don't need this one anymore because it just runs the EGR, which is coming off. So do that. And also, don't forget to unhook the batteries. I haven't done that yet. I'm going to right now, just so you don't have any unforeseen issues. Unhook this coolant hose down here. You're going to push down on those 2 clips, the little gray things there. Push down those, and it'll pull straight off. Be careful with it, don't break it. And then you're going to pull this connector. Yellow tab goes out, pull straight off. This black one here, pull the metal tab off, and that one comes straight out also. And then this vacuum line, when you pull it off, you're going to snip the 90-degree fitting off there and put on the cap that comes in your EGR kit down there. So do all that, and real quick, you should have done this already, but before you try to take any of the exhaust stuff off, spray them down really good. It'd be best if you could spray them a couple of times, like 3-4 days ahead of time before you do this, because my flashlight, they're hard to come off, especially those 2 down there in the bottom. They like to break off, and they probably will on this truck when I do it. Hopefully they don't, but they probably will. So make sure you spray those down really well before you try to take them out. So I'll get this stuff done, and we'll move on to the next step. This is what the coolant lines look like with a barb in between there, and I'll put some hose clamps on those later. This is a vacuum line down here capped off. I got the exhaust tubes off. All the bolts came out but one. That last one right there broke off on me, so we're gonna have to drill that out, I guess, and see if we can get it with an easy out or something. But anyway, I'll get to that and get the EGR off and everything, and we'll move forward with this. Okay, so I got the EGR off. One thing I forgot to mention back there. Let's see if we can get this out of the way. Right there on top of that wire is a little hook for a high pressure line. That bolts to the back of the EGR. There's a 10mm nut that you have to loosen, and then that pops straight up. Get that off. And then there were 6 long bolts bolting the EGR down. Take those off, unbolt the two 8mm on the front here that hold the wiring harness to it, and that will come off also. So next step, grab your wiring harness from the EGR. You don't need that anymore, so wire tie all that up to the PCM harness over here, and then you're going to take this long coolant block off plate, and that's going to go right on here. You're reusing the same O-rings for this one. You don't need to do anything with that. This intake block off plate up here, the black one, that comes with a new O-ring, so you don't need to use the gasket that was on there. And for this exhaust that's down here, get this rag out, you will need to reuse the gasket that was on there. I have a broken off bolt I gotta drill out. I'll get to that in a minute, or I'll get that done in a minute, and then we'll put that on. Also, the exhaust block off plate has a bung in there for the EGT sensor. So what everybody says to do is pull the EGT sensor out of the DPF when you delete that. I'm not sure if you can use the sensor that was plugged in here that was on the short crossover pipe there. I'm not sure if you can reuse that one or not, but from what I've heard, you're better off just using the one out of the DPF, so that's what I'm going to do on this truck. So we'll get all that done. We'll hook this coolant line back up to the quick connect there, and then it comes with this new line over here. It's going to go from the bottle here down to the fitting on the front of the radiator. Let's see if I can find it. It's right back in there, a little hard to see, but it'll run from the coolant bottle down around in there, that fitting, and it comes with hose clamps to do all that. So that is pretty much everything. There is a bracket in there for that high pressure line with a hook on it that'll bolt to the hole that the EGR was bolted to, and that'll keep that all nice and clean. So I'll get all this stuff done, and I'll get back to you when the delete kit is all installed, and you'll see what it looks like, and then we'll go from there. Got the bolt that broke off out of the hole there. Man, I had awful time with that. It broke off the bolt. I broke off a drill bit in there, and I broke off the easy out. Well, I got all that out finally, drilled it out, tapped it, and that's all on there. This is the EGT probe off the DPF system, so pull that off. I'm not sure why you can't use the sensor that was on the original crossover pipe that went here, but they're all saying to use that one out of the DPF. It must be the other ones for airflow or something. So anyway, I did that. Really, the only thing left to do now is zip tie all your wires up, and the new coolant hose here, zip tie all that out of the way so it can't get hit with anything, and put all the intake back on, top off the coolants and everything, and I think that's pretty much it. That's really all there is to do with the EGR delete. The sensor, the EGT sensor you put on, plugs right back into the same harness. I don't know if you can see it down under there, under the intake. And then make sure your wire's tied up out of the way and stuff. So anyway, I'll put all this back together, and we'll see how she runs. It's gonna get loud, like 12 days, like a shockwave.